The tribes of the Dark Oath may have gathered, but it's time for brands Oathbound to take control. Welcome to War Games on Toast, all of you lovely people. It's me, it's Toast, and today we are looking at brands Oathbound. Yesterday I took a look at Dark Oath, and today I am looking at the other leg of that faction, which is called brands Oathbound, and there's a lot to talk about because there's nothing quite like brands Oathbound. But before we get into all of that, it's time for a little bit of shilling.
I am shocked. Shocked. Well, not that shocked.
Please consider leaving a like, a comment, and subscribing, as that helps me fight against the dastardly YouTube algorithmic demon. And if you want to help in a more tangible way, then please consider signing up to my YouTube members or my Patreon, like all of these wonderful people on screen now. Badoosh. And if you don't want to dedicate yourself to a monthly subscription but still want to help the channel out, then feel free to throw me a coffee. But with all of that out of the way, let's get on with the show.
And now for something completely different.
So, brands Oathbound. This is a really fun selection of laddies and ladies. But I have to make one thing very clear straight away. Brands Oathbound, despite being called brands Oathbound, despite looking kind of swanky and sounding like a Blade-born warband, they're not. Brands Oathbound are just Dark Oath. They're an additional part of the Dark Oath faction. They are not Blade-born at all. You don't treat them like Blade-born. Don't even treat them like some weird allies. They are part of Dark Oath as a whole. Nothing's like this. This has never happened before. It's very bizarre, but that's just what it is, right? Let's look at their abilities. There's some really cool stuff here. Their reaction is identical to Dark Oath because they are just Dark Oath. Oath of Murder is identical to Oath of Murder. They are just Dark Oath. What's important to note with Oath of Murder within brands Oathbound is that despite being identical, there's more fighters within brands Oathbound who are more capable of triggering Oath of Murder than in standard Dark Oath. Just be aware, if you are taking brands Oathbound fighters, you are likely going to use Oath of Murder on those guys because they are a little bit better at killing, even if they're a little bit more expensive, but we'll get on to that a little bit. What's really cool about brands Oathbound, though, is that where the base Dark Oath had a whole bunch of really good doubles and some cool triples, brands Oathbound is all triples. Everything here has a triple. There's no quad. It is just all unique triples that work on like one guy. And this basically means that all of brands Oathbound is a giant toolbox of things you'll add in to your Dark Oath to add a specific tool to your kit. It's really cool. Games Workshop have done this a fair few times in the past. If you look at the Order of Azir, they all have triples as well. If you look at the new Iron Jaws, they've gained some new triples as well. It's really cool. This whole new triple mentality that Games Workshop are really pushing in their design is a really fun space. So let's look at them and see if any of them are actually pretty good. Spoiler, there's some really good triples here, and I'm very excited to talk about them. First things first, we have Carve a Path to Glory. Until the end of this fighter's activation, at half the value of this ability, rounding up to the attack's characteristic of melee attack actions made by this fighter. If this fighter is favored, add the whole value of the ability to the attack's characteristic instead. Carve a Path to Glory is great. It is such a fun ability. It will likely get you killed. So this is the ability that the big man himself, Gunnar, he gets to use this, and it is undeniably quite powerful. Gunnar, every time, badoosh, is got a lot of attack space. His attack stats are kind of fine, but we'll get into a bit later on. I can go right now, badoosh. And this ability makes him even better. It allows him to move and gain some more attacks. It allows him to get stuck in the combat and then swing a whole bunch of times. If he gets a kill, then he becomes insane. This guy can get up to 22 attacks in a single turn, and that will likely get you killed just because of how counter works. You'll probably die, but it's kind of hilarious. This guy can really blend like nothing else in the game. He is he's a single target blender who will just lay into you with 1,000 attacks and will make you die. It is hilarious how fun this ability is. It's not necessarily good. It requires a bit of setup. It's fairly expensive, and Gunnar, as cool as he is, likely will kill himself doing this, and he isn't that cheap, right? But it is really, really fun. I can't help but love it, right? But next up, we have Uncanny Shot, and this is very similar to Carve a Path to Glory, but it's much, much better, if I was to be so bold as to suggest that. Until the end of this fighter's activation, add half the value of this ability, rounding up to the attack's characteristic of ranged attack actions made by this fighter. While this fighter is favoured and or targeting an enemy fighter within 1 inch of a friendly Gunnar brand, add the value of this ability to the attack's characteristic of ranged attack actions made by this fighter instead. I have to put this profile up because Uncanny Shot sounds pretty good, but if the range attack profile is bad, then it's kind of crap. Every time. Singri is very, very good. Her attack profile might look low, but strength 4, it means it's blessable to strength 5 and 2/4 damage, and being able to shoot 10 times unfavored, and then 16 times favored. Oh my god. Yeah, Uncanny Shot is it's immense. The amount of ranged murder you can do, because again, like, Singri is fast, she's got a long range, and this ability can work favored, and if you're not favored, it doesn't matter if you have Gunnar Brand, because then you can just park her next to Gunnar Brand and then just shoot into combat and do all the attacks anyway. Yeah, it's a really strong ability. I wouldn't necessarily take Gunnar Brand just for the Uncanny Shot combo. I would maybe just take Singri by herself and aim to get favored, which is easily done considering that even unfavored, Uncanny Shot is great because it affects both of your ranged attack actions. So you get your 2 attacks plus up to 3 more twice. You're getting up to 10 shots with a high strength, once blessed, with a solid damage profile. You're looking at killing a chaff model easily every turn, and once you kill that chaff model, you proc your Oath of Murder, and badoosh, you're done. So use Oath of Murder turn 1, get in a position, turn 2, trigger Oath of Murder, and then Uncanny Shot to the bank. It's really, really solid. Again though, this is a triple, it's very expensive, you can't be expecting to use Uncanny Shot and all your other toys, and there's a lot of fun toys here, namely the next triple, War Queen's Fury. I like this almost as much as Uncanny Shot, possibly more actually. It's very, very fun. This fighter makes a number of bonus melee attack actions equal to the number of enemy fighters within 1 inch of them. If this fighter is favored, they make a number of bonus melee attack actions equal to the number of enemy fighters within 3 inches instead, and you increase your range for those bonus actions to 3. In both cases, each bonus attack action must target a different enemy fighter, even if that enemy fighter is more than 1 inch from this fighter, but so long as each enemy fighter within 1 inch of this fighter has been targeted first. So yeah, this is the last bit spacey to make sure that you are allowed to attack things that are 3 inches away, even when engaged. So it's putting in that little clause there to make sure you can actually use this ability as intended, which is very fun. This is a rare Games Workshop win. They realized that their rule would not work, so they fixed it in advance. Wonderful. I am very happy about that. This is great. This is so good. Again, I'll put Tanari on screen every time. Badoosh. So Tanari is really solid. She's solid in combat. She's a blender. She's a chaff blender. You'll want to get her into combat, so move her up, pop this, kill some guys. Once you do, badoosh, you've procced your Oath of Murder, because again, you do all of your Oath of Murders on turn 1. So you proc your Oath of Murder, you get favored, and then you now just blend everything within 3 inches. This is very similar, again, to Carve a Path to Uncanny Shot. Where War Queen's Fury shines is that it is a true AoE thing. It's not just like putting in a whole lot of damage into 1 or 2 things. You're hitting everything on an objective. Against big horde warbands, you can do some serious work. There's been a bit of a resurgence recently, partially because of me using it a lot. and then my friend Off Met Musings, check him out. Badoosh on screen. has also been using Tarantulas Brood. So if Brood do become a bit more popular, they bring like 15 spiders, and War Queen's Fury can kill like all 15 of them. So bear that in mind. It's wonderful. You will likely kill yourself. If there's enough people there, you will likely die from attacking so many times and so many counters burning. But even that is worth it for the damage you're doing to all those models, the kills you may be getting from doing this attack, and from all the actions you're burning from your opponent. If they are using counters, they are burning their actions en masse to kill you, and that's your guy just doing one action. So even that, it's free. It's bonus attack actions. You've done one activation and they've burnt 2, 3, 4, 5 counter reactions. It's a pretty good trade-off, honestly. So War Queen's Fury is immense. It's such again, another really, really powerful tool in the Dark Oath arsenal. And similar to the Dark Oath War Queen, Tanari might be a must take. I am besotted with Tanari and this ability. It's so much fun, and I love Uncanny Shot, but it's got some stiff competition with War Queen's Fury, I'm not going to lie. But next up, we have another really good triple called Withering Death. Pick a visible enemy fighter within 9 inches of this fighter and then roll 6 dice. For each 4+, allocate a number of damage points to that fighter equal to half the value of this ability. If this fighter is favoured, you roll 9 dice instead. This is really good. This is, again, another really good ability. It's a single target nuke. 6 dice, you're looking at 9 damage, right? If you'd be using this on a high triple, right? So you're looking at 9 damage on average, spiking all the way to 18. And of course, because Oath of Murder doesn't trigger on melee attack actions or anything like that, it triggers on things dying in your activation. Oath of Murder can trigger on Withering Death. So if you kill something with Withering Death and become favoured, all future Withering Deaths become more powerful, and your average damage goes from 9 to like 12, maybe 15 damage on average, which is kind of insane. It's fantastic at just nuking, again, chaffy things, doing massive bursts on big things, on elite things, on mid-range things. Withering Death is really, really good. It's another fantastic toolbox ability in a huge selection of toolbox abilities. It's crazy good. But sadly, we do get to our first real dud in Demolishing Strikes. Until the end of this fighter's activation, melee attack actions made by this fighter score a hit on a 3+. If this fighter is favoured, in addition, until the end of this fighter's activation, melee attack actions score a crit on a 5+. It's fine. Like, it's fine. Always hitting on a 3+ is quite strong, but like that effect is the strength of a double, right? And sure, if you become favoured, the crit part's quite nice. It's just nothing special compared to everything else here. Demolishing Strikes is the big loser because its power is comparatively so low. We have 4 other abilities that are all really powerful. Even Carve a Path to Glory, which is kind of overshadowed by Uncanny Shot and War Queen's Fury, and even Withering Death. Even that ability drastically overshadows Demolishing Strikes. So yeah, it's the big miss. Yeah, it is the big miss. But let's look at some of these stats again. So there's only 5 models here. And Gunnar Brand is the big man himself. He is the focal point of this faction. He is one of 2 heroes in it as well, because War Queen Tanari is also a hero. So Gunnar Brand is incredibly solid. 165 points for 25 wounds. Toughness 4 is just nice. 25 wounds is a good wound count to have. 5 attacks, strength 4, 2-4 damage is really, really solid. I would likely give him +1 strength to make his Carve a Path to Glory a bit more reliable. I would even consider him +1 damage to go to a 5-4-3-4 for a tighter, more reliable damage profile. Either work based on points. Is really solid. He is just overshadowed a little bit by the other models apart from Dendril. We'll get to him in a bit. He is overshadowed a little bit by everyone else here, sadly. And that's both in terms of stats and also in terms of his ability. But he is kind of cool, right? 25 wounds is 25 wounds. Kind of like him. Singri Brand is interesting. I have a suspicion that Singri Brand used to be a hero because she is placed, in terms of formatting, between 2 heroes. And I am glad she is not, because Singri Brand as a hero would be insane. If you could ally Singri Brand into any Chaos faction, she could potentially be anywhere and everywhere, because Singri Brand is actually bonkers. 200 points might seem like a lot, but she is movement 10, which is really good. She has 25 wounds, which is really, really good. She's awful in melee, but she'll never use that profile. She has an 18-inch no minimum range fucking bow, right? She's using this. 2-4-2-4 is an okay range profile that is just made so much better with a +1 strength blessing and made absolutely bonkers with uncanny shot. Singri Brand has an 18-inch range with a 10-inch. She can target something 28 inches away. The entire board is within Singri Brand's threat range, and she can kill so many common range threats and outrange them. She outranges Quiet Pock. She outranges Slan. She outranges possibly the Arbalista. Maybe not though. But like, she has such a strong range and such a good profile that is buffed so effectively that she pops her oath and she just starts to machine gun things. She's going to kill so many. If you can keep her safe, she's going to murderize so many things. And because she is movement 10 with 25 wounds, she is more than capable of running across the board, taking objectives, grabbing treasures, being a pain in the bum, because she's just that fast. And of course, that range profile is absolutely beautiful. If she was a hero, I could see Singri Brand being everywhere. And I mean everywhere. There's a big push for strong range stuff in warbands at the minute, and Singri Brand is absolutely phenomenal. She's expensive in terms of resource investment, because she needs triples to fuel her damage. But the payoff is really good. She's really good. I am a huge, huge fan of Singri Brand. Big, big fan. I am also a fan of War Queen Tanari though, and these two clash. They clash a lot because you want those triples for both of them. And Tanari is wonderful. She has a 1-inch range spear apparently. 5 attacks, 4 strength, 2-4 damage, toughness 4. Movement 5, really important to note, movement 5, 25 wounds. She is tanky, she has fast movement, and she can blend everything imaginable around her. Once you get your first kill, which is not hard to do, that profile is absolutely fine. Again, +1 strength or +1 damage is absolutely fine. She will just start murderizing entire points. Having a 3-inch murder zone, she can just plonk herself on an objective and just hit everybody on that objective. It's insanely cool. Tanari is a risk. She will likely die. She is not cheap at 185 points, but she is durable enough to tank a bunch of counters. And like I said before, if they are burning a bunch of counters to try and kill you via counter, they are burning their actions. You are gaining value elsewhere, in addition to damage, in addition to anything else. War Queen Tanari is a serious, serious threat, and I am a massive fan. Like, Gunnar Brand, fine. Singri, love her. War Queen Tanari, absolutely love her. But let's go on to Broken Nadia. Broken Nadia, there you go. 95 points. Okay, movement 3, very slow. Toughness 3, kind of squishy. 15 wounds, it's actually kind of fine, honestly. For 95 points, 15 wounds is great. Awful in melee, right? 2-2-1-2, dreadful. Range attack 2-2-3-6 is fine. The strength 2 might look bad, but when you consider most wizards are strength 3 with their range attack and most toughnesses are toughness 4, yeah, it doesn't actually matter. You'll be running on fires anyway. So that strength 2 is absolutely fine. The damage is wonderful, right? She's a cheap wizard, and Withering Death more than makes up these kind of low attack stats. Broken Nadia is lovely. I like her a lot. I would almost always take her because for 95 points, she is just nice and cheap. She's just a really solid addition to any list, frankly. So yeah, if you're running Dark Oath, Broken Nadia, even if you never use Withering Death, the threat of Withering Death is always there. And again, these are all toolboxes, right? All these models are toolbox pieces that you take because of their abilities that are you'd use in the right situation. So you might not always use Withering Death, but when you do, it's going to do some serious work, and you'll be very thankful you paid those 95 points for sure. Finally, we have Dendril Diabrand, and I was not kind to Dendril's ability because it's not good. But Dendril himself isn't actually all that. Dendril is 125 points for toughness 4 and 18 wounds, which is fairly durable. I'm a big fan of that. With 4424, which is also a fairly solid melee profile. Like, if you have the points, I guess you would take him. I just don't find him particularly interesting. I think I'd rather just take, like, 2 more Marauders, you know. It's 15 points more to take 2 Marauders, but I think I'll just take 2 Marauders. He's just kind of there, right? He's the least impressive of the bunch. The model's nice, though. But, yeah, it's not that great, frankly. He's fine. He's perfectly average in a group of people who are actually all fantastic. So he is the big loser there. So Brand's Oathbound, in conjunction with the Dark Oath, make the Dark Oath faction as a whole become so cool. There are so many funky options on display here. It's one of those instances where I want to take everything, every single model, just about, in Dark Oath and Brand's Oathbound. I just want to put into one list. I want to take Singri, I want to take Tenari, I want to take the Warcry, I want to take a Wilderfiend. And this isn't possible, right? There's so much good stuff that I am sad I can't take them all in one really good list. This is such a good sign that there are so many really, really cool things within Dark Oath. They have came into Warcry as a whole new faction out of nowhere, and they have carved this wonderful playstyle, this theme, and they've delivered it just everywhere. It's just oozing with theme. It's still a shame that Dark Oath Savagers just aren't involved. If an FAQ was to come in the future, I would love the Dark Oath Savagers to be included as a Dark Oath contingent. Just have them in there. Change their rune mark to be the Dark Oath rune mark. Let them be involved. It would be so, so cool. It would also help balance some things out, having, you know, the Slaughterborn in there, right? And of course, having the access to a battle trait would be wonderful because they don't have one. And it would be nice to have one, right? But as a faction, you can absolutely ally things into Dark Oath. It'd be fine. But I am just so enamored with Dark Oath and Brand's Oathbound that I don't want to ally things in. I feel there is more than enough within this faction by itself with Brand's Oathbound that you have access to anything you would need to make a really, really solid and competitive list. Now, it is early days. I can't say that for certain. And the list I'm going to put up might not be great because, again, it's early days. But this is the kind of thing I've been messing around with in my head, and I've played 1 or 2 games with already, and I liked it an awful lot. So I'm going to put it up now, check it out, and have some fun. Badoosh. So that's Brand's Oathbound, and that concludes this 2-parter on the Dark Oath. I might come back next week and cover Dark Oath Savagers again with some fresh eyes, because I'm just a big fan of this theme, this Dark Oath theme. It's such a wonderful, wonderful theme, and I'm just excited to dive in more and just experiment with all this cool stuff. But that's the end of this video. Let me know down below what you think of Brand's Oathbound, what you think of Dark Oath as a whole, and if there's anything I've missed. Was I too harsh on Dendril Diabrand, or was I spot on? You let me know and we'll have a good old natter about it. But until next time, lads, ladies, and everybody in between and beyond, ta-ra.
Groovy.
Boy howdy, it's me, it's Toast, and we are here once again with the post-Toast credits. As always, a huge shout out to my algorithmic demon slayers, Armour Enthusiast 7, Andy Morris, CT6497, Girth Demon, The Head Knight of Paint, Heinz D, Long Run Hobbies, Lord Filax, Sable Saber, Brioche, Steve Bean, The Houston Toad, Tough Tootin' Baby, and Velas. A huge thank you for all of your support, and I will see you all next time.